Hello and welcome to Chemistry 9. This is Chemistry 15. That means this is the 15th video in this series. So, if you made this far and you're wondering kung ano yung structure ng buong series, you can just go ahead and look for the Knowledge Catalog Grade 9 Chemistry playlist, which is already prepared for you. So, as usual, this session is divided into the following parts. The first part is a discussion on the percentage composition of a compound. Basically, I'm going to show you one example, and then we'll be deepening our understanding of solving for the percentage composition of a compound with the next part, which is a practice on solving word problems or basically solving problems on percentage composition of compounds. And then we will be concluding the session with the last part, which is activity number 7. It's grocery time. And so tuloy yung mga parts ng session na to. So I hope that you will stick around and finish this part of the series. And we are already working on the 10th learning competency, which is on determining the percentage composition of a compound given its chemical formula, and then vice versa. Alright, so we are going to have this learning competency. That means this is the expectation. Okay, by the end of this 2 video long part of the series, you should be able to do the following. Ayan. So if you need to if you want to follow through with some sort of a learning material or reading material, you can open your learner's module to Unit 2, Module 4, pages 74 to 77. And let's begin. So for our first sample problem and for the discussion on percentage composition of a compound, we will be talking about we will be solving for the following. What is the percentage of carbon in sucrose, which is C12H22O11? The question is ganito. If sucrose has the following chemical formula, which is C12H22 and O11, that means meron siyang 12 na carbons, 22 na hydrogens, and then 11 na atoms ng oxygen na silang lahat, they're bound to each other. They're bound in a certain way that will make up sucrose, which is known sugar. And so if carbon is it has 12 atoms, it's represented by 12 atoms in that compound, what is the percentage of carbon overall in terms of mass? Ayan. So, in terms of mass, gaano karami yung carbon? Okay, so alam naman natin na iba-iba yung masses ng mga yan. So, kaya na 22 tong hydrogen, since we know maliit yan, like siguro mga 1 gram per mole lang yan. And then you have here 22 atoms of it. So, will that be bigger than 11 oxygens? And will that be bigger than 12 carbons? Ayan. So, that is our question. If this is your mixture, C12H22O11, ilan porsyento dyan yung carbon? Okay, so before we talk more or we talk about this further, how about you imagine this? Familiar ka siguro sa alam mo yung cornic at saka mani. Okay, I mean mani as in yung snack. Okay, so yung na fry na season na mani, ayun. So, if you halimbawa, if you mix cornic and mani in a certain way, say for instance, for every 5 mani, you'll be putting in the mixture 5 cornic din. So, what is going to be the expected percentage composition of that mixture? So, yeah, if you are following through, that means it's 50% mani and then 50% na cornic. Right? And then, halimbawa, when it comes to candies naman, halimbawa yung mga candies na kulay red and then candies na kulay white or medyo translucent. So, halimbawa, red and translucent candies na medyo, white. So, say for instance, you're going to have a mixture of them, and then 7 pieces of red candies were mixed with the 3 pieces of translucent white candy. So what is going to be the percentage composition of that mixture? Okay, so it's going to be 70% red candies and then 30% translucent white candies. Basically, that is what we're going to do here. If you have C12H22 and O11 in terms of mass, what is the portion of carbons in that compound? What's the portion of carbon? And so for the first part of the solution, what you need to do it's actually a familiar operation for you. It's solving for molar mass. So you count the number of atoms for carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So you know full well that you are going to refer to their subscripts, 12, 22, and 11 respectively, and you will be getting the following. And then you're going to equate that, you're going to multiply that with their atomic masses. And in this case, it's 12, 11, and 16 for carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen respectively. Basically, you're just going to look for the molar mass of sucrose. Okay, so the total amount of, the total of these factors here is going to be 342, which is representing the mass of sucrose. Okay, now, what we need to do is to look for the percentage of carbon in terms of mass in sucrose. So what are we going to do? Okay, so first is, sige, wag lang carbon ang solve natin. Let's solve for all of them. Let's solve for hydrogen and oxygen as well. Ayan, so you have here the total, 342. Okay, so since we're looking for a percentage, okay, pause muna tayo. And think of about the answer to this question. Since we are looking for a percentage, what are you going to do? Sige, I'll give you a moment to think about that. Halimbawa, dun sa mixture ng red and translucent white candies kanina, paano natin nakuha yung 70% tsaka yung 30%? Okay, so you have 7 red candies and then 3 translucent white candies for a total of 10 candies. So 10 is the third number. So what did you do? You divided 7, okay, by 10, and then what you'll be getting is, yes, is a value lower than 1. So you'll be multiplying that by 100, and then voila, you have the percentage for the red candies, right? Basically, ganun na yung gagawin din natin dito. Okay, so ito 144 grams per mole of carbon, okay, per mole of carbon. This 144 represents the total amount of carbons na present dun sa compound in terms of mass. Dun sa buong compound, 22 grams per mole lang yung representation ng hydrogen. And then 176 grams per mole naman yung representation ng oxygen. So in terms of subscripts, pinakababa yung value ng oxygen. Pero in terms of partition, of portions, siya yung lumilitaw na may pinaka-marami because, well, siya rin naman pala may pinaka-mataas na atomic mass and then di rin naman lumalayo itong kanyang number of atoms. So you just multiply them, you'll get 176 and then you'll be getting a very big partition, a very big portion in the 342. Okay, now, how do we solve for that now? Okay, so first is you're going to put 144 grams per mole as the numerator. This one's for carbon. And then you're going to divide that by 342 grams per mole by the sucrose. Okay, so 144 coming from this, and then 342 coming from the total molar mass of the compound. Then you multiply that by 100, okay, and then you will be getting a number which is 42.11. Actually, this is rounded up to the nearest hundredths. Alright, so in other words, 2 decimal places. And then since multiply natin siya ng ganito, the operation is like this. We actually look for the percentage of carbon in sucrose. So lalagyan natin siya ng percentage sign. And then we're just going to repeat that with hydrogen and with oxygen. So what these figures are telling us is consistent with this. Okay, so ang may pinakamataas na partition supposedly is oxygen with 100 grams per mole from the 342 grams per mole. Siya yung may pinakamalaking share. So lumilitaw din naman siya dito kasi siya yung 51.46%, which is higher than 42.11% coming from carbon and then hydrogen with 6.43%. So at this part of the solution, we actually answered the question, what is the percentage of carbon in sucrose C12H22O11? The percentage of carbon in sucrose is 42.11%. Okay, so now, how do we check kung tama yung ginawa natin? Kailangan ng total niya, of course, is 100 since percentage siya. So, you just add them up, 42.11% carbon plus 6.43% hydrogen plus 51.46% oxygen is going to be equal to 100. And that makes our operation correct. Yan. So, basically, ganun yung gagawin. Yan yung ginagawa natin when it comes to calculator computing for the percentage composition of any given compound, or for the percentage composition, for the percentage of any given element from a compound. That's what we do. Okay, so now we move on to the next part of this session, which is giving you more practice problems. Okay, let's now deal with sample problem number 2. How about we deal with the smaller compound this time? Let us talk about hydrogen peroxide and how much hydrogen is in it. Okay, so go ahead. I'll give you time to just look muna. Sige, locate muna for these elements. Okay, these elements in the periodic table. You can pause this video if you need more time. Okay, I'm assuming that these are easy to find elements. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so the familiar part of this solution is, again, computing for the molar mass. Let's just wait for it. I'm sorry, nagkabaliktad yung kanilang animation. And so, yeah, but the first part of the solution is always to compute for the molar mass. And you can see it right here. Ayan. So, I am guessing that for the third sample problem, ganun din mangyayari. Lilitaw din ng una yung itong percentage mismo. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, so the first part is always to look for the molar mass of hydrogen peroxide or of the compound in question. And then that's the time we can solve for the percentage composition of the compound. So in this case, it is only comprised of 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. And then for hydrogen, we took 2 grams per mole divided by 34. We got 2 from here. And then the product was, the quotient was multiplied by 100. And the product represents the percentage of hydrogen in the compound. So as you can see, 5.88% is the percentage of hydrogen in the compound. So it's a very low value for a percentage, if you're going to ask me. Yeah, compared to 94.12% ng oxygen. Ayan. So, yan. Madali lang kasi, dami na nating mga examples dun sa molar mass. And then, you're just basically getting the percentage of a given element from the compound where it comes from. So, and what you use is itong mga products nila dito. Ayan. So, how do you check this? We're just going to add 5.88 and 94.12, and we'll be getting 100. So that is 100% for hydrogen peroxide. That means our operations are correct. Now, for the last sample problem, I will be giving you greater autonomy. You have to solve for the percentage of sulfur in iron 2 sulfate, which is FeSO4. So just like the first sample problem, this sample problem is comprised of 3 elements. So medyo mas tricky siya compared sa hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so I'll give you time to solve for this. If you need more time, you can just pause this video. Okay, since you have decided to continue, let us now look at the solution. So first, nalilitaw dito yung mga percentages. Okay? Before lilitaw yung mismong yung mismong yung solving for molar mass, which is already familiar to you. Okay, so lilitaw na yung mga answers mismo. So, the answers are the following. Okay, so, yeah. This is the solution for the molar mass. The solution for the molar mass. Okay, so the molar mass of FeSO4 or iron 2 sulfate is 152 grams per mole. And that is the number we used in these operations. So 56 grams came from the product of 1 iron multiplied by 56 AMU, which is its atomic mass. And we multiplied that quotient by 100, and then we got 36.84. It's a middle value because ito yung pangalawa when it comes to the values. Like, ito yung pinakamataas, pangalawang mataas, and ito naman yung pinakamababa. Ito yung pinakamababa, ito yung pangalawang mababa, and ito yung pinakamataas. And so, these are the percentages. Iron is 36.84%. Sulfur, which is in question, it's 21.05%. Also, we take note that it has the lowest percentage. And then for oxygen, it's 42.11%. And so we're done with the second part of this session. Let's check for this. The sum must be 100%. So, basic, no? Now, what I need you to do is, you can actually consider this. Okay, consider this. You can go back to our previous video lessons and then solve for the percentage composition of the compounds that we solved for in the previous video lessons. I remember I gave you like around 9 sample problems in the previous video lessons. And then meron pa tayong mga naka-scatter na mga compounds dyan. You can just, try yourself and solve for those, solve for the percentage composition of those compounds. Ayan. So, we move on now to the last part of this session, which is activity number 7. It's grocery time. We have the following objectives. So, by the end of this activity, you should be able to apply the concept of percentage composition in choosing grocery items. And then you have to be able to realize that the amount of substance intake can be monitored with the use of percentage composition. You may be needing certain kinds of materials here that may be quite peculiar, like the following. Okay, grocery item containers or packages such as food wrappers, cans, bottles, and etc. Also, you need an internet connection. So if you're viewing this offline, you may need to sumaglit ka munang pumunta online, okay, and then search for something. Okay, it's part of the procedure. So prepare them. I'll give you a moment to prepare these materials, and if you're ready, just play this video. Okay, you can pause it now. Welcome back. Okay, so I hope na hindi ka naman ganong nahirapan sa paghahanap ng mga food wrappers, cans, bottles, at saka kung anik-anik pang mga dyan. Okay, so let's now proceed with the procedure. So first is you have to get 3 samples, or at least, at most, get 3 sample containers or packages of grocery items such as canned goods, snacks, or beverages. So for the canned goods, pwedeng corned beef, okay, pwedeng sardinas, or any other canned good na meron dyan. Like, pwede rin naman siguro, pwede naman natin consider yung mga meatloaves, ganun. And then snacks, yung mga, kung meron kayong chips dyan, ganun, candies, pwede yun. Basta dapat may mga information sila on the ingredients. Okay, yun yung kailangan kasi natin. And then beverages, kailangan meron din sila, again, information on ingredients. Now, what you need to do is you have to look at the list of ingredients and then list the substances written as contents or ingredients in the label. You have to choose 2 substances from each type of grocery item. So, halimbawa, meron kang canned good, pili ka ng 2 substances. Meron kang snacks, pili ka rin ng 2 substances. And then, meron kang beverage, you have to just choose the 2 substances too. Medyo nagbibinata ang Sir CJ ninyo. And pili na kayo. Bali, that has to be a total of 6 substances. So, a tip lang in choosing, pwede kayong tumingin ng mga halimbawa, mga items na mayroong, halimbawa, acetic acid o kaya citric acid, yung mga ganun. Sucrose, ganun. Usually, when it says sugar, it refers to sucrose. Okay, so ayun. So you have to have six substances. I'll give you a moment to list them down. You can pause this video. If you have decided to continue, you can do the following. You can research from a chemistry book, or para mas convenient, you can just search from the internet the chemical formula of the substances, of those six substances on your list. Okay, so you can do that now. Pause this video. If you have decided to continue, that means you're ready to compute for the percentage composition of the substances you have listed. So just do that already, paki-compute na yung percentage composition. If halimbawa wala kayong nahanap na chemical formula for that substance or nahirapan kayo mamili di kasi kayo sure, I suggest you go back to the grocery items that you picked and choose another one, choose another substance para hindi na lang kayo gaano ma-stress. Okay. Now, you have to compute for the percentage composition of the substances you have listed. I'll give you a moment. You can pause this video. If you have decided to continue, I am assuming that you are through with the previous part, with the previous step, and now you're ready for to answer the following guide questions. Okay, so question number 1. Based on this activity, what food do you regularly consume which gives your body a lot of carbon atoms and sodium atoms? Pause this video if you need more time. If you have decided to continue, let us proceed with question number 2. So are these foods yung mga na-mention natin from question number 1 and are your answer from question number 1? Are these food items good for your body? So why? Now you have to do some bit of a research on how much of these types of food are recommended for your age group. So since you are going to search for something over the internet, you can pause this video now. If you have decided to continue, I hope that you're ready for question number 3 and that I hope that you have found something on the recommended amount, recommended amount to for those kinds of foods, for those kinds of substances. Okay, so next is question number 3. In what other ways can you make use of the concept on percentage composition? Pause this video if you need more time. If you have decided to continue, let us proceed now with answering these questions. Alright, so question number 1, usually soft drinks or fruit juices in packs, cupcakes and other foods which contain sugar that is reported as carbohydrates in the nutrition facts will give you a lot of carbon atoms. So, yung mga zesto, yung mga ininom yung mga soft drinks like Coca-Cola, like Coca-Cola, like Coke, Sprite, Royal, yung mga yon. Also, yung mga fruit juices na nakalagay sa mga Tetra Pak, yung mga yon. Also, they are yung mga sugar sila, they are reported as carbohydrates dun sa nutrition facts. Right? So, and on the other hand, grocery items commonly known as junk food such as crackers, mga potato chips, mga corn chips and canned goods, or even yung mga parang chips na, or yung mga parang snacks na made of flour, okay, they contain a lot of salt in them that provide sodium ions to your body. So sodium is good, and carbon is also good, pero we have to always remember that we have to take them in moderation. Question number 2, too much intake of these foods of any food group actually is not good for your body. The Food and Nutrition Research Institute, or FNRI, has recommended value intake to individuals, to students like you, okay, who are still in junior high school. So by average, for your age, you have to be taking a particular amount of carbon and sodium rich foods. You can't take or you shouldn't take too much of them. Okay. And then for the last question, the answer is the concept of percentage composition can be used, say for instance, in food preparation. So specific activities in food preparation or baking or cooking. Also, preservation of food, production of paste, of paint, and of alloy, to name a few. Ayan. So, that concludes activity number 7. It's grocery time. It also concludes this session, and a reminder lang that you were able to finish these parts. We will be having the last video for chemistry after this one, so just stay tuned. This is Sir CJ, and this is the Knowledge Catalog. I'm hoping that you're still with me in this series and that you are getting sufficient information to understand the basics of chemistry, especially for this level, grade 9. Have a good day.